It's hard to really shed light on anything in 15 seconds unless it's Owen's forehead or something. But for the
How many foreign jokes have you thrown throughout this podcast? We gotta start doing like a meter at the top, man. We gotta talk to our editing team about
I
that.
thought
Like
by this
ching,
point
ching, ching.
I thought by this point you say something about my nose at least, but
If you don't be careful, I'm gonna headbutt you through this camera, bro.
And we are back. Welcome to another episode of the Boys in the Wild podcast, where we keep it short and keep it real. I'm Brian Roa,
My name's Alan the Sheriff.
it's Richie Rich. How y'all doing?
and things are about to get wild. Before I dive into today's topic episode, let me ask you guys, how you guys doing today?
I'm good, dude. I'm good. I just got done knocking off like one of my bucket list items, which was going up in a hot air balloon. So I feel really good, man. What about you, Richie?
No, man, we're good. Things have been stressful at work, but I think now we're kind of the chilling phase of things before things pick back up again. But I can't complain. Brian, what's going on with
Word.
you, bro?
Man, I'm pretty good, man. Like, any day you wake up, it's a good day, in my opinion. And also, I got some new shoes that were just shipped yesterday. Going with my outfit. You can't say you're disappointed with that. So, I'm feeling good, man. New
That's what's
shoes.
up.
I'm feeling fly. Feeling fly.
What's up? What's up?
Okay,
What's up?
okay,
Fly
Yeah,
roller,
bro.
fly roller.
Yeah, man, my wings are starting to
man.
spread out right now. See?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
whoo!
Look,
Excited.
I'll just I'm just happy that this man is stepping up his game, bro. Because back in college, bro, it was not it.
Are you talking to me?
You talking about Alwood or me?
Get
I'm talking
out
about
of here.
both of y'all.
You suck. You
Both of
suck.
y'all.
Move it
Oh, you,
along.
yeah.
Move it
Come on,
along.
I
You
was the
suck.
Nah,
best.
hey
I was
man,
the
we
best
gotta get back to the
ever.
episode topic. I'm gonna let that for another episode, but we gotta get to today's topic episode. All right, y'all. So today we're talking about one of the biggest rappers in the game right now, and I believe he goes by the name of Drake. Y'all ever heard of Drake?
Right.
I don't know who that is,
Yeah.
bro. I'm a country man.
Oh, L, big L. Oh my god. Anyway, so the topic of today is basically a situation that revolves around Anthony Fantano, a pretty popular YouTube music critic, and Drake. So basically, long story short, Anthony Fantano made a video that released the DMs that he had with Drake, and he put up a fake vegan recipe post to bait Drake into releasing a real IG DM that Drake released to Andy Fantano, basically releasing to the world on his IG story that he told him that you are a slight one to something of an existence, but basically insulting him like a 14-year-old on Facebook would do after getting a joke about him or something like that. And everybody is reacting to the situation as Drake is being pretty petty right now and isn't able to handle criticism from a pretty common person like Anthony Fantano, any common fan that puts out criticism of him. So that's why you probably saw his comments um, have been silenced. That he's not able to post anything on his IG content anymore. But anyway, what I want to talk about from this situation is the way that Drake handled criticism is inspired me to think about what we should do talk about today. And I want to ask you guys, how have you handled criticism? If you ever handled it, how did you handle it, and what would you do differently? So let me start with you. How did you handle criticism, man?
How have I handled criticism? I handle criticism pretty well when it comes from people whom I am looking for the constructive criticism from. If honestly that makes sense. I don't really take, you know what I mean? Because I feel like there's good criticism, which is constructive criticism, and then there's just terrible criticism where it doesn't even come from a place where people are trying to help you improve your life. They're just
Mm.
they're just what you would call the haters. You know what I mean?
They sipping that
So,
haterade.
like, yeah, sipping on that haterade, feeling hella pain,
Is
whatever
that
it
the
Yeah.
blue
is.
one?
Whatever it is. But yeah, at the end of the day, as long as it just comes from people who I really love and care about and want the best for me, I'll be definitely willing to accept it. I guess my thing has just always been, and I'll give an example. Um, because sometimes there are situations where you don't even necessarily have to accept criticism from people you love, if it or just people in general, if it's not in line with what you are looking to accomplish. So I'll give you an example. Like the other day, one of my videos went viral where I was basically doing a short 15-second video on how China discovered this crystal on the moon. And basically, this crystal was, it had some ingredients in it that, you know, if you put it into a nuclear fusion reactor, that it would generate tons and tons of energy. But there's some people who didn't like what I did in the video because it was 15 seconds and I wasn't providing all of the information necessary for someone to understand what that video was, what exactly the details of the matter were. And my thing is, I didn't really accept a lot of that criticism in the comments that I was getting, because for the people who understand what I do, which is to just shed light on like these groundbreaking developments in a very short period of time, I only do it just to make people interested. And if you're not
Mhm.
interested, you don't have to click the link in my bio that I provided that provides more information on the subject. You know, it when you're trying to provide scientific and technological information, things can get things can get complicated because they're very difficult subject matter areas. But if you want to make it interesting, like, which is what my content basically does, and very short and quick and to the point, then you would check me out. And if you've been watching my content, you would understand that. And so for me, again, at the end of the day, it's all about what you're trying to accomplish when you're taking on some of that criticism. But I don't know, I mean, anybody feel free to jump in if they want to add
I'll say
on to
this,
that,
man.
or you know.
I'll say this, like it's always hard to like provide a some enough information, especially to shed light on something, especially when it comes to like some discovery, whatever, in 15 seconds. It's hard to really shed light on anything in 15 seconds unless it's Owen's forehead or something. But for the
How many foreign jokes have you thrown throughout this podcast? We gotta start doing like a meter at the top, man. We gotta talk to our editing team about
I
that.
thought
Like
by this
ching,
point
ching, ching.
I thought by this point you say something about my nose at least, but
If you don't be careful, I'm gonna headbutt you through this camera, bro.
no, but like
Anyway, Richard, like, what do you have you ever handled criticism, bro? Like, talk about that,
criticism,
bro.
like let's be real, like I think just a human nature type of thing. Nobody likes any negative
Hmm.
comments about their performance. It's just natural to disregard them and appreciate them. But the thing, I think the challenge then becomes trying to filter through that negativity to get like the constructive bit. For example, I'll tell you right now, like a couple weeks ago, one of my supervisors, he was just like telling me like in future, bro, like look, this is how you gotta. If somebody asks you this question, this is what you gotta say. And it wasn't like anything like I didn't have like any. I really appreciate the criticism. So I think for like especially for people who start off in the careers like us, like it's always just important to just remember, like, look, if it's coming from your peers or whatever, just take everything as constructive. Try to you know to find that needle in the haystack type of comment, because like we're all trying to develop. Everybody's trying to like move to the next level. Don't take anything personally. It's never personal when it comes to these kind of things, um, unless it's Drake. But I digress.
Hey man, I think we can all say that based on our experiences, and this occurred probably later in our lives where our brains are more developed, more mature, we've definitely handled it a lot better than what Drake did during that DM exchange and basically putting out to the world saying that he can't take an insult, even from a common music critic. And it kind of just shows who you are as a person. But from my perspective and my experience, the way that I handled criticism was that I remember in high school when, again, I go back to like when we were mature versus when we were still developing our lives and our brains are like still developing as well. I remember I got an insult from my lacrosse coach, and he told me that he didn't like the way I was shooting with a certain form when I was like shooting the lacrosse ball, and I'm like looking at him like,
Play
who's
brains.
He said,
basically,
"Wow."
I was like telling him like, what does he have to tell me about the way I shoot a lacrosse ball into the goal? Like, if it goes in, it goes in. It's kind of like a basketball shot. Like, if it goes in, it goes in. But I didn't realize at the time that he was trying to give me constructive criticism, and I just fought from a pretty poor mindset of I believe I know more than this person, so I'm just gonna operate the way that I believe I should, and that kind of backfired looking at it years later, the way that I just at that moment again, I was probably like 16 years old, thinking that I knew everything, that I knew how to actually play the game, but in reality, I didn't. And I looked at what my coach was saying to me, and I kind of just brushed it off. But now I kind of look at criticism as a way of getting better. And as I was talking about, the difference between like insulting versus constructive criticism is pretty huge. I mean, there are people out there that are just there to get you to bring you down to their level because they see that you're trying to achieve good things, and all they want to do is bring you down with them. They have no goals, they have no scope of their future, so they just want to just throw insults like you dress weird or you look weird, you speak weird. Like those types of criticism are just insults. But somebody's actually trying to get you to where you got to go to align you with your personal goals, then yeah, that's who I can listen to and to keep me in perspective. Like if I'm not in line with what I want to achieve and I have somebody that has what I want and I want to do exactly what they do, then yeah, I'm going to listen to them and I'm going to say, yeah, how can I improve or how can I get better? And I believe that comes from an approach like I feel like what I wish Drake did in that situation, and this is a message for all the listeners and all of the viewers watching and listening to our content right now. But I feel like the way you should approach this is that you need to look from a bird's eye view, or I guess just like from a granular view. How do you want this person to influence your life? Is it not an influence at all? Then brush it off. But if it is a big influence in your life, it's a mentor, if it's somebody that you look up to, and they're giving you honest feedback on how they want you to operate, yeah, you need to listen to that and also find a way to change it, offer a way to find solutions. And trust me, like there are a lot of problems in this world, but not enough people are bringing solutions to the table. So if someone offers a solution to you, please, and I say this from the deep down of my heart, like please do not take that for granted. Like there are good people out there looking to really help you, and a lot of people want to brush off because they think they know what I used to think. Like people know more than the people that are trying to teach them. That's what I made as a athlete back in high school. I made a mistake and something that I will be teaching the young generation about someday. So yeah,
Let me ask you let me ask you guys real quick.
uh,
Give me a quick response here. But in terms of I need to like tell me or tell us, I guess, a time when you got some criticism, right? You ignored it, maybe due to pride or whatever, but then it came to pass like, okay, I see what my coach is trying to say. I see what my professor is trying to say. I see what my whoever was trying to say. Like, and then that's when you realize, okay, maybe back then I really should take this stuff too hard. Like, do you have any type of like stories about that?
I mean, I feel like it kind of connects to I feel like it kind of connects to my story from earlier, with the comments that were coming in about my video. The thing is, I completely agree with what you said earlier, Rich, because I feel like there's always a way to find a silver lining in a situation. So even if you're being bombarded with all this criticism that some people would perceive as insulting or no, I'm not going to say derogatory. That's like
hey, it's a
insulting.
possibility right there. You know,
That's like,
some
oh,
people are there to get you. You know,
Oh, bro, I can't even
like
say that, bro.
like whether some people will perceive it as just like terrible or insulting. Sometimes you can kind of dig through the files and find what you need to improve your life. I kind of get that to some degree, especially when it comes to kind of having that survivalist perspective when it comes to navigating the world and the complexities of people's personalities and stuff. But again, at the end of the day, I think it's really important that you find out what exactly it is that you're trying to do with your life and your own path and what you're trying to accomplish. And that's why I say that with regards to your question, I did it's not that I was taking every single comment with a grain of salt. I basically heard what everyone was saying, and then I did my analysis, and I told myself this is what I'm trying to do, which is why I'm not going to acquiesce to what exactly everyone is saying. But at the exact same time, oh, maybe I could just include just a bit more detailed information next time in some of my videos and see if I can work things around. So it's not like I completely brush people off. It's just that sometimes what people tell you isn't the best way forward for you. You can't please everyone. That's why no matter how much criticism I'll get from people from a variety of different directions, I'm just like, okay, I'm going to take what I need and kind of keep it moving. Because at the end of the day, this is your life. You have to live your life. You can't please everyone. So if that kind of answers your question, but what do you think, Brian?
hey man, I feel like this is something that you need to send to Drake right now in a DM. Like he needs to hear this type of stuff because that was pretty fire.
So, and just send
And
them a link to the episode.
Yeah, let's do that.
God damn it.
Yo,
Drake!
exactly. What if he samples like our podcast into one of like his album intros? That would be tough.
Oh,
Imagine
that'd
that. Oh, that would be tough.
be We've been talking a lot of trash about him this episode, though, so I don't know if he's gonna mess with it. Not me, though.
Hey, bro,
Hey, hey, man. My hands are tied, but basically, man, like just to wrap it up, yeah, man, like insults versus criticism, I feel like there's a line that has to be drawn in between that route because again, just to reiterate, there are people that are just there with no goals, no scope of what they want to do in the future, that are just there to bring others down with them. So they just want to just throw insults as a way to criticize you to bring you down to their level versus those that you just mentioned, Alan, they're there to uplift you or you want to maybe not emulate them at 100%, but they're basically a place that you want to be. And those type of people, if they give you honest feedback, even better. Like there's some people that I've even occurred in my job situations where I ask for feedback and they have the mindset they don't want to insult me or hurt my feelings. And I feel like as a person that is criticizing, it's pretty hard from that perspective to hurt people's feelings if you are generally a nice person or you don't want to cause any adversary with another person, especially in a professional setting or maybe just personal. But again, like I feel honesty goes a long way, and it's a much more powerful tool to really help people's lives in being honest and just fake it until you make it, or just being a person to tell them, oh, you keep partying, you keep drinking every day, you keep indulging in unhealthy behaviors. As long as you're happy, you do you. But again, like that's just not really helping them. Like there's a point where you have to, if you really care about the person, you have to draw that line. I have to tell them how it is. And if they're in a toxic relationship or if they're doing toxic behaviors, I have to point that out as a friend, or I'm not doing my job as someone that is looking up to them or someone that should be their friend. That's just the way I think about it, man.
I feel like you're making some good points, but like let's switch it up a little bit. Like, okay, we talk about receiving criticism, right? Let's talk about giving it. Um, I'm pretty sure everybody has given criticism, whether personally, professionally, and basically, like, how do you do it in such a way where the person that you're criticizing appreciates what you're trying to say and not be in a mindset of like, man, screw this dude. You don't know what he's talking about. You know what I'm saying?
Wait, hold up, Rich. Are you teasing? Are you teasing for the next episode?
Yeah,
Because I think that might be a wrap, man. I think teasing for the next episode. That's pretty good, bro.
These
That's
are some
sneaky
really
of
good
you, bro.
questions. These are some really
That's good questions, man.
questions.
My man
But
came
nah,
prepared.
man. Hey, man, shoot. Great thoughts all around. And I love Richard throwing all these questions out there. It's not
I
something
know,
he
man.
usually does. Man just comes with the comments, trying to make fun of my forehead and stuff like that. But I like you this episode. I like you.
Yeah.
Like me too.
We
you
got
every
Richard
single
2.0. We got Richard 2.0 moving forward with the new era of the Boys of the Wild podcast, y'all.
Like,
Very first.
But nah, thank you all for tuning in for this episode. Really appreciate it. If y'all want to find out more about us, just check out our social media. You can find us on IG and YouTube at Boys in the Wild Podcast, or you can find us on Twitter at Boys in the Wild. So thank you so much, y'all, for tuning in. And also, please don't forget to drop all your comments in the comment section of this video or wherever it is that you're checking out this episode. We want to hear your thoughts on how you handle criticism and what some of your previous stories have been that have helped you develop yourself. So thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. This was the Boys in the Wild podcast, and we keep it short to keep it real.
Keep it short, keep it real.
Keep it short, to keep it real.
Real-o. Real-o.